Yo, chat. Microphone check 1 2. Can hear you. Awesome. All right. So, on the agenda, we're gonna watch Adam Kochnick. I mean Sosnick. Sorry about that. Debate Dave Smith on Piers Morgan. Is an absolute shit show. Let's watch.
Hosted Part of the Problem, a libertarian who backed Trump in 2024, and Adam Sosnick, who's the Valuetainment host and PBD podcast regular, a former liberal who backed Trump in 2024. Well, welcome to both of you. Dave Smith, we'll come to the tsunami that greeted your last appearance on Uncensored, led by Ben Shapiro a little later. But first of all, this sort of quaint notion now being peddled by people in the mainstream media that the podcast world is irrelevant. No one's ever heard of any of the podcasters or we YouTubers or anything, and we should all just be ignored. I don't think that's true.
Oh, I mean, it's patently absurd on its face. I mean, again, I'm not trying to overstate the influence that any one podcast or show had on Donald Trump to go on all of their shows in the campaign.
America's Got Talent for 16, I think they were.
Mainstream media. But let me answer that. So, number one, Pierce, great to be with you. Dave, good to see you. It's been a little while. And thank you for dressing up, Dave. The question that you're asking is, are young people watching social media and they're watching YouTube? Obviously, duh. My mom still watches the news at 8 p.m. and if she misses it, that's it. She doesn't see it. She hasn't figured out how to get on social media. She still tries to ask me how to find me on YouTube and on Instagram. But yes, the 35 and under crowd is on social media. And I'll tell you an anecdote. I'm a registered independent. I'd never voted for Trump. And then I had common sense and realized you vote for Trump, who might be brutish and an a-hole, or you vote for a weak, feckless, I wouldn't even call it leader like Kamala. And obviously the choice is pretty easy. But I would debate with my liberal friends, one that was very, very, very tight with the Clinton people, part of the Hillary campaign. And he noticed as I was starting to become more.
Notice how Adam has friends on all sides. Adam has connections on all sides. Well.
Let's just say less Trump hating. This is in 2023, 2024, run up to the election. And then he goes, dude, I don't even know what happened to you. You're like full on MAGA now. I go, no, I just have common sense. I see what's going on the radical left. And it's so un-American to me. And he goes, yeah, you're just in your little YouTube world. I'm in the real world with the real politicians and the real polls. I got the real stuff going on. I go, hey, buddy, his name is John. I go, John, this is the real world now, guy. Yeah, well, we'll see. So obviously, we see what happens in the election. This is not the type of person that likes to apologize, right? Comes up to me and he goes, Adam, I was dead wrong. You're right. This is a new YouTube world. Congratulations on all your success, Pierce, and welcome to the YouTube world. It is what it is.
Okay, well, we're sort of in broad agreement there. Let's get to broad disagreement, I suspect, which is the way this war is playing out. I mean, Dave, I've really struggled to work out the upside for Donald Trump from the start of this. Doing this so close to the midterms, doing exactly what he said he wouldn't do, which is he was going to stop, attacking Middle Eastern countries. It was all going to be America first, a premium on sorting out American problems in America. And then suddenly he launches a war on one of the biggest countries in the Middle East, certainly one of the best armed. And all hell has broken loose, not least to the global economy, which is inevitably going to have, and already is having, a very detrimental effect on living standards for average Americans. If I'm an American that voted for Trump, I'm like, I don't get this. I might in a poll say I get it, but I don't think I really get it.
Yeah, and then you also have to consider there, Pierce, right? Like there's a sizable percentage of people who support Donald Trump, who approve of the job broadly that he's been doing, who maybe, look, we're 3 weeks or whatever into this, go, all right, I'll kind of give him a chance, we'll see. But if this doesn't turn into any type of win, and if it turns into a clear disaster, which it already seems to be, that's only going to hurt him more and more and more. I think, look, Pierce, despite the fact that it is not in my incentives in some way as like a political commentator, like I hope this whole thing just works out great. And then I know that all the people who don't like me will say, ha ha, you were warning that this would be a disaster. I hope that I would much rather take that deal and live in that. But here's the other element there is that, right, we had the 12-day war in the summer. And I've certainly heard, I heard at the time, some on debates that we did on your show and others. And I've heard nothing but since then on social media that, you guys were so stupid. You were warning about exactly what we're seeing right now, which is what all of us were warning about who are critics of the 12-day war. And Iran didn't do that. And they were like, look, we got away with it. One and done. No Americans dead. And that's it. We don't have to do anything else. They spent the following 6 months bragging about how the nuclear threat had been totally obliterated. Now we find ourselves, Piers, back in this same situation. And as I mentioned last time on your show, the big picture here is that clearly the calculation changed for Iran. They no longer feel that it's in their incentive for self-preservation to not strike back and kill Americans or not do maximal damage. And now, clearly, with a younger, more radical Ayatollah who has not promised to not build nuclear weapons, they've made the calculation that actually they can't not give us a bloody nose, that they have to really make this cost us. Otherwise, we'll be back in another few months doing it again. And of course, at the beginning of this war, Donald Trump said this was a full regime change war and called for the people to rise up and overthrow their government. And the people did rise up, Pierce, in support of their martyr Ayatollah and in support of this regime. I know you saw some of those aerial shots. There must have been hundreds of thousands of people out in the streets in Tehran, in the most liberal part of the country, supporting the regime. So I'm sorry, at this point, this just looks like a catastrophe. And the best we can hope for at this point is that it only ends up killing like 10,000 people, and it only ends up costing tens of billions of dollars rather than the 200 that Secretary Hegseth has asked for. And this all relies on two major factors. Think about this, Piers. It's not just that Donald Trump has to call it quit and declare victory or whatever, but then we got two other entities that are majorly involved in this war, Iran and Israel. Now, we know at this point, Iran is saying they're vowing not to stop. They talk a lot of bluster. Who knows? Maybe they will. But Israel, Piers, we all know they want the regime change here. In the 12-day war and in this war already, they've hit targets after Trump has clearly asked them not to. Who's to say they don't continue doing that? And it begs a real question of how we get out of this quagmire. Yeah, 3 weeks in, we're already there.
Right. So, Adam, you've had a little spat with Dave on social media. When he called it an illegal war of aggression on X, you said, come on, guy, read the room. Dave responded, let's not pretend you read, Adam. To which you replied, I'm able to read scoreboards. You are losing big time. Do you still feel that? I mean, do you still feel that? Because I would argue that the scoreboards militarily absolutely would show that the United States and Israeli combined forces have inflicted enormous damage on Iran's military capability. I think that's inarguable. However, what I don't think has been properly factored in by the Americans and Israelis is the ability of Iran to wage an economic war in parallel to a military war. And that by controlling the Straits of Hormuz and by attacking, as they have done, their neighboring Gulf states, both oil refineries and tourist hotspots and so on, they've managed to freak everybody out and they freak the global markets. And this is incredibly damaging to Donald Trump because every day that Straits of Hormuz is shut, then you will see the impact for the next few weeks and months coming through the US economy and the global economy, but the US economy. You know, when fertilizer, when the impact of that being stopped comes through in a couple of months' time, it takes a while to cut through to the actual people of America. But it will, and when it does, it's going to be very damaging. Do you not think that the longer this goes on, the more of a miscalculation has been made here?
Yeah, the reason why fertilizer is so important is because we use it to grow our food. So that means that the cost of food will go up. It's not just about oil, you know? So we got to pay more money the supermarket so Israel could get its regime change.
Look, I'm not the Trump is the all be MAGA guy. I'm the guy that was like, yeah, I'm not so sure about this Trump guy. You know what? Oh, I got the fake news. Oh, Russia, Russia, Russia. Oh, it turns out, yeah.
I'm not so sure about this guy. But then I found out he was Israel's bitch and then I loved him.
Yeah, you know, he's way better than the other side. So I had to use logic and a measured approach to get me to the point where I'm like, he's the guy. So I'll ask you another question. Let's say Trump wasn't here. What's Kamala doing?
Oh, no,
So
I mean, don't
everything in
get me wrong.
politics is
I
binary.
think Kamala Harris would have been a terrible president. I thought Joe Biden was a
Okay.
terrible president. And I've always said with Trump, I think I find myself agreeing with some of the things he does and disagreeing with others, which I think is the right way to deal with Trump. I think if you just judge him on what comes
Well,
out of
that's
his
just
mouth.
like with anything, Pierce. You're not going to agree with everybody and disagree with that.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and look, when I came on the PBD podcast, I loved it because we disagree about stuff, and you guys come on, we disagree, we agree, we never fall out over it, nor should anybody, right? But on this specific call about Iran, I did say on day one, I think this is a massive gamble, and I don't understand the timing, and I think the capacity for this to go badly wrong is very high. The longer it has gone on, because Trump originally was like, this is over in days, then it's over in a couple of weeks, then everything started changing, then the regime change he said was going to happen with people rising up. None of that has happened. There are lots of reasons for it. I think the reason we saw so many pro-regime people hit the streets was they were not going to get killed doing it. We saw in January when people protested against the regime, a lot got killed. And obviously there are bombs flying around all over the cities of Iran, which will also put people off, I guess. So there are lots of reasons, I guess, why people are protesting or not protesting in certain ways. But to me, the justification for this war has changed so many times. It's made me think, I don't think Donald Trump has any clear idea of what victory looks like. Do you? I mean, if the regime remains intact and they keep their enriched uranium, for example, and they maintain control of the Straits of Hormuz, is that victory?
Well, look, this was not an easy decision. You think, these guys have been in power 47 years. Everybody in our microwave hostile society wants this done in the next 4 to 7 weeks. It's going to take some time. And we've already, I was talking to a good Navy SEAL buddy of mine, Navy SEAL. He said, dude, we've taken out 80% of their military capacity. Not bad in less than a month. So let the guy cook a little bit. So you also talk about, Dave, that, oh, yeah, they had people out there pro-regime. Yeah, nobody's denying that 10 to maybe 20% max of the country is pro-regime.
Where are they getting these numbers from? They took out 80% of their missile capability. According to what? Like, why should we believe that? They're still sending missiles to all the way over to fucking Israel. Are you kidding me?
But what about the 80%?
Who told them that? Patrick Bet David? So I'm a numbers guy. They're taking about 80 to 90% of Iran's missile capabilities out of Iran. So this war should only be lasting about 1 to 2 months. So according to Mossad, that 80%, I like to say 271%, That's right, Zishan.
Of the country. That's like if Dave had a comedy show, there was 100 people that magically showed up to Dave's comedy show. Oh my God, he has so many fans. Dude, there's 100,000 people outside that didn't go to the show. I'm not being like brutish or sarcastic, but just you're taking a small sample size and extrapolating that for the entire country. We all know
just to be
who
clear,
this regime is.
Oh, hang on, Adam. Just
we
to be,
all know
hang on,
that this
Adam,
is a terrorist regime.
Just to
Go
be
ahead.
technically correct on that argument you're making, if 100 people turned up to watch Dave's show, then technically over 8 billion chose not to.
Correct, and that's pretty uniform at this point.
This is really making me feel bad about my numbers on the road.
It doesn't
here. I'm feeling
necessarily
pretty
mean
good.
that
I've
8
been selling
billion
out shows.
people.
Yeah,
It
Dave,
doesn't
it's
mean there are
okay.
8
Dave,
billion people who don't like Dave Smith.
I used to own a couple. No, it's fine. I mean, I actually do like Dave Smith. Let me tell you a Dave Smith story. I actually have respect for Dave Smith, but I realized who Dave Smith is, and I would say this to his face or on camera. Dave Smith is a radical libertarian. Don't take my word for it. You've said this multiple times. Have you not, Dave Smith?
Said what? That I'm a radical libertarian? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So when you're something, when you're radical. What's another word
I
for?
believe in it. Well, what I believe
What's
in is
another word
true
for
Americanism.
radical? Extremist. Okay. This is
These are
why
all-
you
these are all
call
relative
America.
terms.
This is why you call. Sure. This is why you call the U.S. military the greatest terrorist organization on earth, right? Because you're a true American. Because you're a true patriot. Is that why, Dave? Because something tells me you have what is known as clickbait of the mouth, and you're using these instances, these wars, to garner attention for you. you have the American flag behind you, yet you have the hypocrisy of saying the United States is the greatest terror organization the world has ever seen. I mean, I don't understand what's going on here. This is why you're radical.
I didn't say
So, by the way,
word.
Well, I tell you what. Hang on.
I never
To be
said the
fair,
word.
to be fair to Dave,
Well, hang on. Just to be clear,
let's replay what he actually said on this show, which caused all the furore, led by Ben Shapiro. We'll play what he said, and I'll play what
Adam's turning
Shapiro
red
said
already.
about it,
He's
and then we'll
already
come
turning
back
red.
to Dave for a response.
The IDF is the worst terrorist organization in the region. Let's get real. The United States of America is arguably the worst terrorist organization in the world. If you want to look over the last 25 years, how many innocent civilians we've slaughtered.
It doesn't matter, it turns out, how many times you appear on Joe Rogan's show or how many
It doesn't matter how many times you appear on Joe Rogan's show. I've been on there one time. I should have been on there 271 times.
times you hide behind your title of comedian who holds the Guinness Book of World Records for fewest jokes told, or how many times you spew puerile analogies that demonstrate nothing but unbelievable, willful ignorance of the nature of war. I'm sorry, but you hate the country if you say America is the worst terrorist organization in the world. You just do. Now, I know that Dave Smith is super duper excited that his name was mentioned here, and he's sitting there shouting at
if America was going to war with Israel, he'd say the same thing. That's exactly what he would call it.
his TV screen in his basement, "Debate me, bro!" To which I answer, nah. I don't debate with trolls who claim that America is the biggest terrorist state in the world because that is idiotic.
So, Dave, as you know, that all blew up. A lot of debate raged about it. Just, clarify what you meant. Do you regret phrasing it the way you did? Just give us a bit more meat on the bone.
No, I don't regret phrasing it the way I did, and I'll be very clear about what I'm saying. I will point out that it's quite something for Ben Shapiro. Just since you played him, I got to respond to him first.
course.
That he goes, "Oh, I just won't debate with this guy because this is so beyond the pale." Ben Shapiro made his name debating 19-year-old communist Maoists who were confused about their gender. So somehow, Piers, we're going to have to believe here that I'm so much less serious than.
Such a good point by Dave, right?
I'm not going to debate Dave Smith. I'll debate a 19-year-old blue hair on a college campus.
The children who Ben Shapiro made a career debating. I loved your response to him where you pointed out some of the goofy segments that he does on his show. I mean, personally, I really stay away from that stuff. And, for Adam, I think to say it's clickbait or that I just want to get out in front of the camera, I think we're all equally in front of a camera right now. And it's kind of weird to accuse someone else. I very much believe the things I'm saying.
Dave,
now, to Adam's point,
Dave,
hold on,
don't
'cause there's
run
a-
from the
hold on,
comment.
'cause there's a
Don't
bunch-
run from your
No,
comment.
I'm trying to
Address
get to
the
it. There's a
comment, not
lot
Ben
here.
Shapiro, would you?
Well,
Good,
yes,
let's go, wrap it up.
No, I'm going to make the points I want to make.
You
and
called
you're
the-
actually
you
just
called the
slowing me
United
down.
States military-
You're just slowing. Okay, so
You called the United States military the greatest terror organization in the world.
Adam,
Defend.
just
Go.
let me answer. No problem. I'm going to go back to the order I was
for it.
going. To Adam's point, when Adam says I'm a radical libertarian and I say that this is true Americanism, I mean, look, my favorite founding father is Thomas Paine. Not everyone considers him a founding father, and maybe I love him so much because he never held a government position and didn't own slaves, which I thought was pretty cool. But Benjamin Franklin said he was the most consequentialist and the one person most responsible for the United States of America existing. His famous pamphlet that he wrote was called Common Sense, and I think on the first or second line of it, he says, government is at best a necessary evil. So at best, he's like, this is clearly on the anarchist to night watchman state spectrum was what true Americanism was when it started. Now, for me to say what I made the point, I've made this point a million times on your show, Piers. I was saying when people come on and say Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism, well, just like give me an objective definition of what terrorism means, and then let's apply that standard universally. And if you're going to sit here and say, look, America has given billions, tens of billions of dollars to the IDF in the last few years. We've also, by the way, given a lot of weapons and money. Your first guest on this show there, the head of the Obama deep state, was using Al-Qaeda, bin Ladenite head choppers on the ground in Libya and in Syria. And yes, Adam, I would also consider it when our politicians lie us into war that slaughter millions of innocent people and in many cases target those innocent people, I consider that terrorism as well. There's the answer, Adam. And if you want to keep doing this, buddy, you can tell me to check the scoreboard. I'll run circles around you on this, dude. Check the scoreboard. Most unpopular war in American history going in. Check the scoreboard. 13 dead Americans and 150 plus other wounded. Thousands of innocents, including little schoolgirls in Iran, killed. Dead innocent Israelis. Hundreds of dead innocent people in Lebanon. Millions of innocent people being displaced, all at the cost of tens of billions of dollars and destroying Trump's coalition. Check your scoreboard, Adam. How's it looking for you?
Okay, Dave. Okay, it's not working well for you, Dave, because
Substantively
you're
respond to
still
any of
saying
that,
that
Adam.
United States. You're saying the United States is a terrorist organization. You've already lost the debate. You live in America, tough guy. You have the luxury of sitting in your little studio with your hooded sweater, like you're 17 years old. The regime. You mean all American presidents?
I'm 17
Who's your
years
favorite
old.
president in the last 50 years?
Adam, I'm
Who's
17 years
who's
old.
your favorite president in the last 50
I have
years?
a wife and children. Who depends on you, Adam? Your mom?
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah, well, I'm a mama's boy. Yeah, I have girls on OnlyFans that I manage. That doesn't count. Patrick Bet David, he takes care of me.
I also
Yeah, I
have
mean, if you want to make it
significant
personal,
other, so you want to
if
go
you wanna
personal?
make it- you have a significant
Yeah,
other.
we can go as
Anyway,
personal as we can go.
No, I'm trying not to.
We can go as personal as you
Substantively
want.
respond to one thing.
I don't
Adam.
care, Dave.
Adam, some substance.
I don't care.
I know because you don't know
Dave,
anything.
you're a radical.
Move on. So stop picking a fight with me, dude. You don't
Dave.
know anything about anything. You're Pat Scott.
I mean, it's true. He doesn't know anything about anything. Even if you go to his comments on the PBD podcast show, like on YouTube, they all hate on him. Like, they hate on him more than Patrick. Like, Patrick found somebody, like, Patrick's actually kind of smarter than he looks because he found somebody that people will hate more than him, which is, wow, that's a challenge.
I know.
I
Dave,
like
here's
you,
what
dude. I like you. I
Here's
like
what I'm
your
gonna tell
show.
you.
I respect Pat.
Dave, okay. Zip it. Here we go. I'll talk now for a second. I'm defending the military right now. You're basically saying that all our boys that go to the military are all terrorists. That's what you're saying.
No.
You're equating
Not
that
what he said.
The United States of America,
No.
the IDF, are the equivalent of ISIS and Al Qaeda. By the way, I also used to respect you until you went on a little podcast called Coleman Hughes. What happened on that podcast, Dave? This is the problem. I'll tell you a
Why
quick
don't you do
story.
it right
When I
now,
moved to-
Adam?
when I-
Why don't you do it?
I'll do it right now, Dave. I'll do it right now.
for
Because
it.
here's what Dave is. Here's Dave Smith. By the way, 1% of Americans vote for libertarians every year. So you're trying to basically say that you know more than the average American. 1% of Americans vote for your people, Dave. Why don't you run for something? Why don't you stand
ran,
for something? You stand for nothing.
Okay, can I respond? Again, Pierce, this is the
But
level
let me
of
tell-
substance.
No. Here we go. I'm going to tell you a
Okay.
story, Dave, and then you can respond. Because this is where I lost respect for you as a debater. Because I was like, oh, this guy Dave, he actually knows some stuff. He's doing his thing. And then you showed up on Coleman Hughes' podcast. Pierce, do you know who Coleman Hughes is?
I do. He's been on the show.
I've been on the show with
Okay.
him.
Perfect. That's this guy right here, just in case, if the camera doesn't see.
But what is the point you're making?
I watched this podcast. The point is this: Dave gets out there and he tries to bully people and say that he's so smart. He reads a lot of books. Good for you, Dave. But what happens when you read it to somebody, run into somebody who's way smarter and bullies the bully? I remember growing up in the town of Miami, so there was this kid that used to pick on all the kids that we went to school with. And one day, some new kid showed up and he goes, "Oh yeah, let's go, buddy, let's do this." And the bully goes, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you want to do?" And he goes, "No, yeah, you want to fight everybody? You want to take everybody's lunch? Let's go." And the new kid beat the crap out of the bully. And here's what happened with Dave. He's out there just doing his little podcast thing, debating, like you said, Ben Shapiro, 19-year-olds. And then all of a sudden, this whole conversation about Wesley Clark, and I saw him on your podcast about a week ago, Piers, and this memo, here you go, Dave. Remember this memo from Wesley Clark that you used to
you
cite
put a prop.
everything?
This is
that you used
adorable.
to cite.
Oh
yeah.
my god, dude. Oh my god. This guy drew up props with a fucking crayon. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. It doesn't get more pathetic than this. Dude. This is who Patrick Bet David hires. This is who Patrick Bet David hires, bro. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, so I got this prop. Wesley Clark. For those who don't know, Wesley Clark, he was a former general in the U.S. Army. And he stated that somebody came to him with a plan to basically dismantle 7 countries in the Middle East within a set time. This was like right after 9/11. Those countries were Iraq, Sudan, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, I believe Somalia, and Iran. Look at those countries now. Look at them. And he's trying to discredit Dave for bringing that up.
That is adorable
Okay,
because your
can I-
whole
when do I get to
foundation is
respond?
based on some memo.
Well, I'm
Your
not,
whole
I'm not
foundation
quite
is
sure
based on
what,
some memo.
Adam, I'm not quite sure what is the point you're making.
The point is this: Dave has zero credibility at this point. Dave has zero credibility.
you don't
at this
really
point.
get to decide
And he
that.
ran
You know, the
into
people- the
somebody
audience gets
that
to decide
completely
that.
bullied. What audience? 4 people
Can
that show
I
up to your
respond?
comedy show at the
Yeah, okay,
Sure,
Dave,
good.
Dave, you respond.
Okay, can I respond now because I listened while.
I mean, the question I'd ask you, Dave, is the way that you're.
Let me respond to some of that.
I will,
Pierce.
yeah,
This-
but I just want to
sure,
ask you just on a general level.
How are you going to respond to what Coleman Hills did to you? There was like a body bag after that
Let
debate.
him respond.
Well, you ain't doing nothing,
Go for
bro.
it.
You're sitting here talking about what another man did.
Let me
You've
just-
already been in a
Anyway.
body bag, Dave. I'm here to clean up the scraps.
Okay, let me just ask Dave this, which is, as you know, the comment you made about America being a terrorist state and so on, that went pretty viral. do you understand why a lot of people got very angry about the perceived equivalence between America and terror organizations like ISIS, like Al Qaeda, and so on?
Yeah, no, well, listen, I mean, there's no question that the head
I don't think he
chopping
does, but go ahead.
Hey, Adam, I mean, just let me talk now. I understand all you can do here is interrupt and hold up props
Go
or
ahead.
something, but let me make a few good points.
I'm just, you said that America is a terrorist
I know.
organization. You've already lost the debate. Go ahead.
No, I haven't actually, and that's not, you don't really get to decide in the middle of the debate whether I have. It's who moves people more than the other one is really, I guess, the metric. But
You're
I guess that's the
1%
point.
libertarian. You're really
finish.
moving people.
Let him
You're really
finish.
moving people.
I mean, Adam, I understand this will just be your tactic for the rest of it because you're out of, and you're just out of your depth. But here, okay, yes, actually, I didn't vote for the Libertarian nominee.
Go ahead.
Donald
You know what's
Trump.
funny? Adam, he has a podcast on within PBD's valuetainment bullshit, where he talks about like women and dynamics between men and women, and he's acting like a woman right now, right? Like he's literally acting like a fucking woman. It's like you're arguing with your girlfriend over some bullshit, dude. He sounds so feminine, like everything. Like he sounds like a battered woman. You know, he's digging his own grave in this debate. He's making it worse for himself. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm here to clean up the scraps, and then I'm going to take him to PBD. Okay, so good job on the debate, okay? I really like the props. What you do with the little crayons, okay? I'm a numbers guy. If you could do $1 or $2 million worth of debates, okay, valuetainment will go to the moon, and we get regime change in Iran.
Donald Trump came to the Libertarian Party convention and tried to convince a lot of us to support him, and I'm one of the people who did, and now I'm one of the people who's criticizing this policy. Now, in terms of, obviously, Pierce, it's a provocative statement. I know that when I make it, and I'm not claiming that the American military men are the equivalent of ISIS or Al Qaeda. Obviously, they're much more barbaric. These head choppers, the one who Leon Panetta and Barack Obama all sold weapons to and partnered with, and the one who Donald Trump recognized as the president of Syria. I'm not saying that one isn't more barbaric than the other. I'm simply making the point, Pierce, that if you define terrorism as targeting civilians in order to affect a political change, then by that objective definition, the U.S. military and the IDF are more guilty of it than anyone else over the last 25 years.
Their argument is always that the U.S. military and the IDF do not deliberately target civilians.
Yes, Pierce, but again,
Pierce, I'm just saying, for the benefit of fairness,
that's not
this
true.
is their argument. Whereas the difference being that genuine terror groups like ISIS, like Al Qaeda, they deliberately and brazenly target civilians for political purposes.
Pierce, when you have roaming blackouts for 9 days in Cuba because we've embargoed the energy that can go there, I'm sorry, that is targeting the civilian population. When Hamas slow rolls the remains of dead Israeli prisoners, whatever, I don't know, I get in trouble for using the wrong word. The dead Israelis that they were holding captive, even after all the live ones are out, and the response from the Israeli government is we're going to cut the aid to the civilian population in half, that is targeting civilians. And when you drop bombs all over cities and you know that innocent civilians are going to be killed, that's targeting civilians. Now, as far as some of the other stuff here, look, in terms of the debate with Coleman, I encourage people to go watch that. It's only people who already disagreed with me going in who say I got body bagged there. The rest of the people tend to say, oh, it was kind of a good, respectful back and forth, and both people had some moments. But for Adam to say I only debated children up until Coleman, I debated Dennis Prager, I debated Douglas Murray, I debated Josh Hammer at an Oxford-style debate at Princeton University and absolutely smoked him on the Oxford-style voting. I debated him again at Charlie Kirk's event. I've been coming on this show. How many debates have me and you done, Pierce? I've been willing to debate whoever wants to debate this subject for over 2 years now. And so to say that I'm just being Ben Shapiro and going around to college campuses and debating 19-year-old dudes in wigs claiming to be women, it's just not true, man. I debated Chris Cuomo right in front of you, Adam, the biggest host at CNN. So I just think this is ridiculous. Coleman made some, listen, I'm not going to say a negative thing about Coleman. He didn't attack me. He went at the issues, and I really appreciate and respect that. I've actually been trying to host him on my podcast. I hope he'll do it. Okay,
Adam, your response.
Yeah, and listen, I do respect the fact that Dave does show up.
He does.
I mean, that's like, okay, cool, you showed up. Respect to that. I will give Dave credit. But Dave, and this is why I'm going to keep going back to this, to pretend that it was an even match, an even debate, he put you in a body bag, and you're out here still doubling down on all your positions when he went methodically and surgically.
This is the saddest thing. I've never been in a debate where someone just fell back to someone else's debate. Boom, boom, boom. Name one of the booms. Make the point for yourself. Me and you are supposed to be debating here, brother.
The memo from Wesley Clark. The memo from Wesley Clark. Your whole foundation for your Israel. So listen up, little guy. So your whole foundation for Israel dragging America into war was that this memo from Wesley Clark showed up, and that's the reason that America got suckered into the Iraq War, because Israel convinced him to do it. And he went and surgically and methodically and very calmly was like, Dave, you don't know what you're talking about. Your entire foundation crumbled. And you're dipping,
so
you're doing your little
can I
thing,
respond?
or you're drinking your
Can I
nicotine.
respond to this?
So, but the point is this: your Holland's
Man, you
Opus,
are real
this 3-hour debate with Coleman Hughes, it wasn't close, Dave. And that's fine. You want to sort of be revisionist
that's your opinion.
and say, you know
No,
what,
I'm not being
we
revisionist.
went point for point. No, Dave, that was any person with logic. Because you didn't have a response. Your only response was,
this is so
go read the
ridiculous,
book.
dude.
Adam, it is an unusual position to spend.
It's not ridiculous.
Adam, it's an unusual position that I've had you guys
Because
on.
that
I've
was
had
the
you guys
aha
on to
moment for
debate
me,
so far.
where I
You
said, this guy is actually a lightweight. He's actually a lightweight.
Adam,
Well, this is that moment for you, for a lot of people, Adam. So congratulations.
My point to you, Adam, would simply be it's an unusual debating strategy. To spend 10 minutes of this debate talking about another debate that most viewers may not see.
Yes, it's
I mean,
pretty
there's
ridiculous.
other debates that we can bring up.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like this is how he prepared for the debate. He watched other people debate Dave. He's like, "Oh, this guy lost. I'm gonna reference this." He can't actually argue points, right? So he has to reference another fucking debate that he watched. Ridiculous.
But Dave, when's the last time you were in the
Go
Middle
ahead.
East?
Okay, so this is
I'm
what you're
asking.
falling back to now? Yeah, right. No, you know
Just
the answer.
answer
You're
the
not
question.
asking. I've
I
answered
don't
it a
know the
million times, and
answer.
you know the. I have not been to the Middle East. Go do your best Douglas Murray acting
Okay.
job.
So-
Adam, brother, I'm
You haven't been? You haven't been? And I hate that argument that you have to be somewhere in order to like understand the issue, because people like Adam or Ben Shapiro will always reference the Holocaust. Have they been to the Holocaust? Were they there when it happened? No, but they'll still fucking reference it a million times over. So you don't need it's not a prerequisite to be somewhere in order to fucking understand what's happening.
was prepared
You've
to come
never
in here on
been,
friendly
right?
terms.
So why
You are
I
humiliating
don't care
yourself
if you're
right
here to
now,
be friends.
dude.
I'm really
You're
not. I'm really not.
humiliating
Dave,
yourself right now.
You've
Yeah,
been
you are.
humiliating yourself for the past 2 years. Basically saying that America's a
Okay.
terrorist organization, that the IDF is
Yes,
a
we got
terrorist
that.
organization, and you're whitewashing actual terrorism. What are your thoughts on Islamic terrorism coming into the West? What are your thoughts on the war in the West? What do you think of
It's
ISIS?
a huge.
What do you think
Can
of the
I-
Muslim
wait, are you
Brotherhood,
asking me
Dave?
questions?
Go ahead.
It's a huge. It's a huge.
asking you a
risk.
question.
and it's a huge risk, especially right now after we just murdered an Ayatollah and his whole family.
What's a huge risk?
Terrorism
What's a huge risk?
blowback terrorism is a huge
I'm not
problem,
asking,
and having
Dave,
not
so
secure
you-
borders
nice try.
is a nightmare
Nice
of a
try.
policy.
I'm not talking
Yes,
about.
I'm very
I'm
concerned
not talking about
terrorism.
blowback terrorism. Do you see what's going on in the West? Do you see what's going on where Piers Morgan lives in London? Do you see what's going on all over the
I've been
world?
an advocate
Why are
of
you
strict
whitewashing
immigration
terrorism?
controls for many years.
by the
I'm
way-
not doing
by the
that.
way,
You're just
the-
making stuff up because you have nothing, dude.
by the way,
Brother, you
Adam,
have
Adam,
nothing
you
here, man.
just said
Adam,
that
wait,
America
Adam.
is a terrorist organization.
Adam, if you brought my country
He's
into it,
anti-American,
Adam,
and here I am
Adam,
as a proud American
Adam,
saying that he doesn't know what he's talking
You
about.
said that Dave
God.
couldn't talk about the Middle East because he hasn't been there much. When was the last time you were in England?
Ooh.
I spent much time in England. My ex-wife was
When was
Welsh.
the last
She
time?
wasn't a sheep shagger.
When was the last time?
The last time I was in Europe, in England, in the Middle East, where would you like me to go?
No,
He
England.
just
England.
asked you fucking England. Like what what do you mean?
The last time I was in England was about 8 years ago.
Right. So this idea, let me
The
tell
last
you.
time I was in
this.
Israel.
Let me tell you.
The last
This
time I was in
idea-
Israel.
This
was
idea.
3 years
that-
ago.
Adam,
there is
dude,
a
I
weird.
almost
There
feel
is a
bad.
weird
Pierce,
idea.
do we have to put this episode
There-
out?
here's
I
the
like
reason-
Adam.
There
We
is
don't
a
have to
weird
have this.
idea.
Adam.
Adam.
Oh,
There are many people.
Are you
on the-
saying that to
Hang
not
on,
going to
hang
a
on.
country?
Adam, many people.
Go ahead, Pierce.
Hang on. Many people on the conservative right in America seem to be under the illusion that my country has been taken over by radical Muslims. Let me tell you, I have lived here on and off for the last 8 years, unlike you, and respectfully, we have not been taken over by radical Muslims. It just hasn't happened the way it's being sold by people like Tommy Robinson to Americans, and you're all
So
lapping it up.
how would you define it then, Pierce? How would you define it then, Pierce?
I think we have a Muslim population which is predominantly peaceful and inclusive and settled well, and we have some radical members of radical Muslims, as we have radical members of other religions in this country, and we have to be very wary about it.
What other
And we have-
members
and we
of
have-
radical?
hang on,
What
hang
other
on.
what other members of
Hang on,
radical religions?
Hang on.
Go
And we have had severe immigration control issues run by successive Conservative and Labour governments who frankly lost control of our border, both to illegal immigration, but also allowed way too many people in legally. And these are proper, legitimate things to be discussed. But framing it, as some people like to do, as my country's been overrun and overtaken by radical Muslims, is just a lie. It's just not true. So yes, there are things to be concerned about, and yes, I want to see everyone who comes here assimilate, and everyone who lives here assimilate into our culture. Of course, I do. But this idea that we've been overrun and overtaken is nonsense.
Yeah, Piers, can I just make
So you
one
think it's
quick
all going out of
point
proportion?
on
Everything
the way
that everybody is saying about Sharia law being
Listen,
imposed in
I certainly-
London
look,
and
me and-
Birmingham,
It hasn't been
you're saying that it's
imposed here.
overblown?
He's
It hasn't been
deflecting.
imposed
He's
here.
deflecting. He's fucking deflecting now. He's just deflecting. That's what all these people who are pro-Israel, when they start feeling the heat come down on them. Oh, well, what about radical Islam? What about white supremacy?
Anyway,
There are
Piers,
18
You're saying that it's
There are
Dave,
a
I'm
number of
talking to Piers. Give it a
unofficial
second,
Sharia
guy.
courts operating. They have no legal basis or standing in the UK whatsoever. There is no Sharia law being operated legally in this country. And it doesn't
Thank
happen.
you, Piers. Thank you for enlightening me. So you're saying it's all overblown, that
Why don't you come
Islamification
over,
of the
come over
West
with the whole
is
PBD
overblown?
team and let me take you on a guided tour of the UK, and trust me, you'll be fine.
There you
I'm
go.
sure you're going to
treat you
all
to-
the
I'll
nicest
treat you
places.
to
and definitely
pints of
one of the
Birmingham,
most dangerous
the fish
places,
and
Piers.
chips, the
I'm sure
cricket.
you're not going to Birmingham or Brick Lane or anything like that.
I love Brick Lane,
Okay.
best curries in
But Dave-
England. I love Birmingham, fantastic place.
Incredible Bangladeshi curry.
I'll take you there.
Back to my central thesis here is that Dave thinks that the United States military and the IDF are the equivalent of the Ayatollah and the Hezbollahs
All right,
and
you've
Hamas.
made that point. Dave, final
that what
point
you're
to
saying?
you.
I know.
Final
Well,
point
listen, I
today.
mean, I think we all kind of agree that like open borders and lack of immigration restrictions are not very sound policy, and that those ought to not be in place. But I do just want to say too, I guess almost brushed up against.
Isn't that what libertarians believe in, though? Don't libertarians
Let
believe
him
in open
finish.
borders, Dave?
Let him finish.
Anyway, let me just finish one point, Adam. Since you have nothing to say, just let me finish the point. Anyway, no, libertarians
I've already
don't
said
believe
what
in
I have
that.
to
certainly
say.
don't.
You've been in a body bag for about a year
so then
now.
let me finish. Yeah, great. Okay, I've been in a
Go
body
ahead.
bag. Anyway, let's see what the
He's out of the
reaction to
body
this
bag
one
now.
is. Let's see what the reaction to this debate is. Okay, we'll take a look at that when it comes out.
Sure.
Anyway, but the idea that
We can gladly do that.
Great.
You're defending
Good one. Okay,
terrorism,
so
and you think the United States is a terrorist organization.
All right.
Let's see what
the
rational
reaction.
MAGA
Okay.
people think. Go ahead, Dave.
Let's see. Okay. Anyway,
Acting
the
like a
idea
woman
that
again.
you're making the point that the General Wesley Clark thing has been torn apart, and that was my entire case for Israel trying to push America into these wars is absolutely ridiculous. There's much more
It
to it
was.
than that, and that
It
point
was.
hasn't been torn apart. Pierce, is anyone going to seriously argue that Israel trying to push us into this war with Iran isn't a factor? As Benjamin Netanyahu, the longest-serving prime minister in Israeli history, brags about how this is the culmination
Well,
of
not
his
just
entire
that.
life's
Not
work.
just that.
He's been advocating this for my entire life.
Well, Marco
Come
Rubio,
on.
Secretary of
ridiculous.
State, said it very clearly that America preemptively got involved in the strikes because Israel were going to attack Iran, and so America thought there would be revenge attacks against American interests and got in first.
And Netanyahu's been coming here every other week to try to lobby Trump into this war.
Guys,
and
I've
pretend
got
that
to-
You guys are
Israel is a
saying that
major
Trump,
influence here.
you guys are saying that Trump is that
Adam, I have to bring this to an
big
end.
of a buffoon that he
I
just
would love
gets
to
dragged into
continue
wars.
this. Please
Nice
come,
try.
Adam,
Nice
come
try,
back
Dave.
again another time.
Take it
I
all
loved having you on. Dave, always good to see you. I sadly got to
Thank
leave
you,
you
Piers.
there, but I appreciate it both very much. Thank you.
Enjoy
Allah
that
Akbar,
body
Dave.
bag,
Allah
Adam.
Akbar.
Enjoy that body bag. Look
Allah
out for the
Akbar,
comment
Dave.
section.
Thank you, gentlemen.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Allah Akbar. He's saying Allahu Akbar. Like again, just back to the deflection. They didn't once talk. Islam was not even relevant to this conversation, but he had to deflect somehow. Like dude, he's like a battered wife. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, dude.
Allah Akbar, buddy.
Well, thanks to David Adam. I'm joined now by Bill O'Reilly, the host of No Spin News and author of Confronting
Bill
Evil.
O'Reilly
Bill,
looks
welcome
like
back to
shit.
Uncensored.
You expect me to follow that, Morgan? Come on. Yeah, really. You know, this isn't a shot at anybody, but this is just for your audiences. Look, there's so much propaganda and misinformation that flows from people who are trying to get attention or make money on social media that it's almost impossible for regular folks who live their lives and have families and trying to do the right thing to know the truth. So I'm glad you had me on, because this is the educational portion of the Piers Morgan program, where we back up everything we say. We don't get into these insane conspiracies or talk off the cuff. We know what we're talking about. So thanks for having me back.
Bill, always great to have you. You know that. The Iran war, what is your overview about where we are? And do you think that Donald Trump miscalculated how Iran would respond, in particular in relation to the economic war they've been waging with the Straits of Hormuz and the way they've attacked the Gulf, neighboring Gulf states with their oil refineries and with tourist spots and so on?
Okay, I'm going to do a stair step here. In every single war that's ever been fought in the history of mankind, there have been miscalculations. everyone, because the fog of war cliche is true. Once you start to unleash violence on a mass level, you can't predict what will happen. And mistakes are always made by the victors. And
Well, Jesse Ventura is a former US Navy SEAL, a former professional wrestler, a former actor, and a former governor of Minnesota. We've had many memorable interviews over the years, and I'm pleased to say he joins me again now. Jesse, how are you?
I'm doing good, Piers. It's been a long
doing
time for
good,
you and I.
Hey,
I
Piers, I'm doing real good.
tried to retire, but
I want to retire.
well, I tried to retire, but unfortunately, they sent the Gestapo to my high school, and
They sent a Gestapo to my high school, and I just wanted to eat frozen yogurt.
they hit it with chemical weapons, which are a war crime, and that brought me back out of retirement to stand up against the war criminal in the White House.
wow. Well, that sounds suitably dramatic.
Well, that's the way it happened. I mean, I was retired. I hadn't watched the news since the last election. My son said, "You're way better, Dad. You're not tense anymore. Keep it up." And then lo and behold, these ICE characters, I call them the Gestapo, and I think I can do that. Let me get something straight right now, Piers, so people know where I'm coming from. My Uncle Emil fought in World War I. My parents both fought in World War II. My father had 6 bronze battle stars in Europe. My mother was a nurse in North Africa, which predated Normandy, fighting
Yeah, it looks
Rommel,
like
the
him, right?
Desert Fox, the greatest German general.
German Fox, the greatest German general. Which army did he fight for?
Both my parents were World War II veterans. My brother and I are both Vietnam veterans and member of the Navy UDT SEAL. We both did 2 tours to Southeast Asia. So everyone in my family is a war veteran. I wanted to get that out right now so it'll help with the things that I'm going to say to you in the moments to come.
So ICE agents came to your school, you said?
What's that?
You said the ICE agents came to your school?
Yeah, the ICE agents came to the school where I went to high school, chasing some guy down just like the Gestapo. And I heard people were offended calling them that. Really? I can tell you right now, if my parents would have been alive and they would have seen what happened in Minneapolis, they would have called it the Gestapo too. So they come to my school, they use tear gas and pepper spray at the school. Now, here's a question I have, Piers. My
use
Uncle
tear
Emil
gas.
fought in World War I, and he was gassed. He
was
came
gassed.
home, but his life was ruined. He could never do anything. What did they do? They outlawed it. Gas using chemical weapons became a war crime. Why is it that you can't use them on your enemy, but you're allowed to use them on your own people? That has always been, where is the media on this? You know, using chemical weapons against our own people, which is in essence a war crime.
Well, I think I wouldn't describe the gas used by ICE agents as chemical weapons. I mean, that infers weapons of
It's
mass
tear
destruction.
gas. They're spraying people from 6 inches away right in their face. I can't use that in war. I wasn't allowed to carry tear gas or any type of chemical weapon in war. It's banned from war. It's considered a war crime. You can't use it against your enemy, but you can use it against your own people. Doesn't something ring wrong there for you, Piers?
Well, a lot rang wrong about what was going on in Minnesota, and I'm very glad that it has been resolved, at least for now. And I think
It
Donald
hasn't
Trump-
been resolved.
Well, no, not
Piers,
completely, but
nothing's been resolved.
No, I understand, but-
We have 2 dead people here.
Yeah, I
2
know.
people were killed by the
I
Gestapo
know.
here.
Yeah, I understand. And those investigations are ongoing, but at least the ICE activity that was going on and the way it was being conducted has been removed from Minnesota, which is a good thing. And I thought what happened was appalling. And I said so at the time.
up, Chris?
Let me ask you about Iran and your view of this war.
Well, here's how I feel about it. There's a simple thing as a leader, and you know this having been in the military. Trump wouldn't know it because he's a draft-dodging coward. But anyway, it's this. A war is justified if you're willing to send your kids. Because how can you send somebody else's kids to a war if you won't send your own? So I'm calling right now for Barron Trump, Donald Trump's son. You know, after all, he's had 3 wives, he's had kids by each wife, and nobody's ever served in the military. To my knowledge, a Trump in the last 100 years has never done military service. Well, Barron, you can change that. Enlist in the United States military right now. Do something your father didn't have the courage to do. Do something your father didn't have the patriotism to do. I want to see a Trump in the military. Everybody in my
Chris?
family has served, so I think I can say that with all due confidence.
I said
Come
hi
on,
back.
Trumps. Don't just reap
I said hi. Chris Mathers.
the benefits of this free world. Somebody put on the uniform, and that's you, Barron. And I heard the excuse that Barron might be too tall. David Robinson served on active active duty. He was 7 feet tall before he ever went to the San Antonio Spurs basketball team. David Robinson went to the United States Navy Military Academy. He's one of my officers, not directly, but he would have been.
Okay, look, it's one argument that a Trump should serve. That's perfectly reasonable argument to make. A lot of people feel that way, but it doesn't change what's going on in Iran. What is your view of this war? Do you think it's a legitimate war? Many people.
All right, I'm signing off, guys. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you all. Good night.